What's up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. And it's so good to see you guys. This is another video about my India travel, the last one, obviously, basically from India to SFO. As travel restrictions are easing up, travel advisories are coming up, I'm very, very hopeful that the travel ban that is put in place for India is gonna very soon open up. Not just for India, for Brazil, South Africa, the Schengen countries, UK, everything else. It's soon going to open up. There are talks been going on to the Biden administration, and I'm super, super, super hopeful to put, for them to remove this travel ban. So hopefully it gets removed. I've been wanting to post this video for a very long time. Specifically because it's a very insightful video. One, it's a long video obviously, and secondly that it's a little different from my other travel videos, given that there were so many rules and regulations that were put in place that I had to go through, which I think it's interesting for me to share. So in case you are traveling from India, which I hoping that we all get to soon, this video is sort of useful. So I had to travel from Chennai to SFO. So my travel experience is a little different, mainly because there were a lot of flight carriers that didn't travel from other cities, which is still the case right now. There are only very few flight carriers from each cities, Air India being one. There's also United, Vistara, such and such airlines. So domestically, there are only three airlines that are actively rotating in India, which is Indigo, Vistara, and Air India, obviously. And the international flights do not travel directly from all these metropolitan cities, Chennai being one, Bangalore. There are some of flights that do travel here and there, but essentially all the major carriers, United, Air India, all of them travel from Delhi. So Delhi is the major hub, the second being Bombay, or Mumbai. So there are certain this weird travel bubble, this weird hop that is going on. So flights are going accordingly. Emirates and Etihad do have these hops, mainly because it's very close to India, so you don't really need a stopover. But for major international flights like the US, the UK, the Europe regions, the flight hub is Delhi. So with that being said, it was a little weird for me because I had to do another stopover in Delhi, and Delhi was majorly where the immigration and everything was. So this was my first time actually going through Chennai's domestic airport, and oh my god, this has been such a long time since I've actually gone to the domestic airport. I've actually never traveled there, but it was such a unique experience. It was very colorful, very bright. The duty free was amazing. I had an amazing experience here. The Wi-Fi here is a problem that I think it needs to be resolved. There's no free Wi-Fi. You need to have a working Indian number, and then they give you an OTP. You get sent an OTP, and then you get the internet to use during the airport time. So for me, it was a bit of a struggle. So I had to ask someone who has an Indian working number, mainly the vendors, the people who work in the shops and kiosks. I asked them, and if they were willing, they actually used their telephone number, and I got their OTP, and I could use the internet for that time. So that is a little weird. I don't know how much of an inconvenience it is. For me, it was mainly because I need to have internet all the time. But if you can get over that, great. People have data plans, obviously, so if you don't bother about that, that's great. So a lot of vending machine, lots of shops over here. All of them are very expensive. Like a Coke bottle is like 150 rupees, which in my opinion is a bit too much. But if you can get over it, great. I didn't have Paytm or any of these cash apps, Indian cash apps, so I had to resort to like using credit cards, and most of the international credit cards do not work. So it was just me roaming around, surfing around the Chennai domestic airport. And it is beautiful, you guys. This escalator, however, is like super long. Like, just look at it. It's just like taking 30 seconds to actually load the entire frame. So you can imagine how long it is. But it was kind of empty because obviously the pandemic and fairly less people traveling during this time. My flight itinerary, however, is from Chennai to Delhi and Delhi to SFO. So while I was there in Chennai, I was just going through all these shops and just making sure I get the shots. And lo and behold, the Iron Man indeed. I don't know what he was doing in Chennai airport selling the OnePlus 8 series, but it was amazing seeing him. And I just remembered, my God, it's been such a long time since I actually saw a Marvel movie. So yeah, so these are the procedures to get the Wi-Fi access. not very straightforward in my opinion, but you might be willing, you might have a better experience than I did. So yeah, now gets the real part where I actually go into the plane. The Indian domestic plane are very, very strict that you do have the protective suit, hazmat suit, but not everyone gets it. It's only the people who are in the middle seat actually get it. So if you are in the middle seat and you have the window seat and the aisle seat occupied, you do have to you have to wear the hazmat suit. And it's also very mandatory to wear your mask as well as the protective shield that I had to wear throughout the plane ride. So it's actually mandatory. A lot of people didn't do it, but it's kind of loosely based, I guess. But they do ensure that you do have at least your mask over it. So yeah, that brings to the plane. Very, very colorful, very, very Indian. It is a very small airplane. I found the overhead baggage area where you put that a bit small compared to the US airlines, where you can fit a really large carry-on, while here you couldn't. So I mean, I didn't have much. I just had a bag, but in case you do have another carry-on or something, be mindful that it is a bit small. So if you board early, you should be fine. But if you are one of the late comers, and if you don't have any space overhead, then this is what it is. So it's a very small space overhead. So with that brings the seat. Obviously, as per tradition, I always have to take the window seat, so I got a window seat. So this was a 2.5 hour ride, so there wasn't a TV on display. So, but yeah, I mean, time passes and I was really hungry, so I was just waiting for the food to come in. And as like per my plane traditions, I always look at the the colorful caricatures of how the plane safety is, etc., etc. Pretty decent leg space and leg room. And yeah, I mean, it is a bit a noisy flight, so but I didn't really care all that much because it was a night flight, so I just slept. But if you have all those, if you actually care about those, it is a very noisy flight, and it's also pretty old, given the technology that didn't exist at that time. So it felt very early 2000 kind of plane, but it's just a 2.5 hour flight, so I think you can resist or all that stuff. So I had my middle seat empty, so yay for me. But after that, just like about 15-20 minutes after everybody boards in and the plane takes off, you get this delicious Indian food. There's only vegetarian options. There's no non-vegetarian. I am a vegetarian, so it was pretty easy for me. But if you are non-vegetarian, there's only veg options. And it was really, really yummy, and it was tasty and fantastic. So now brings the most important part of this video, is where you actually have to pay attention. For example, if you have an Air India flight all throughout, from like say from your domestic flight to the international flight, let's say you're traveling to Chicago, San Francisco, New York using Air India flight, you're going to have a very, very smooth experience, mainly because there isn't any stopovers or transfer areas. But if you are going in a different carrier, like I did, I actually had to go to the United Terminal. So here's the part which you need to pay attention, that you need to get out of the airport and then get in the departures aisle and then do your check-in process. So that is very important. So if you're in the Air India flight, you just need to just go all throughout. But if you're using United, obviously you need to ensure that the flight is you have to just get into the departures. Do you have to do baggage transfers? I didn't have to do baggage transfer because the transfer time itself was like 3 hours, so I didn't have that. I didn't have to do that. But let's just say your transfer time is like 12 hours or 24 hours. It's like overnights. Like you're catching another flight with a lot of distance, time distance. So what happens is that you have to just take your bags and check in again. And yeah, you have to go through the hassle of checking it, weighing it, making sure that it's all perfect. So United just allows one bag. That is United's rule. So Air India allows two, but United just allows one. You do have to pay $100 fee for the second check-in baggage. So depending on that, it is what it is. So that's the thing about United. There are other flight carriers that do offer two. American Airlines for being one, but it has, if it's connected via British Airways, it offers too. So there are a lot of other flight carriers that offer too. So if you have a bit of a heavy baggage, or if you have more things to carry on, be mindful of that. So I didn't have much, so I was fine with United. And here we have the Mudras, which is one of my favorite parts of Delhi airport. I just love this area a lot. So here's the important part. So from here, if you just go straight ahead, if you have an Air India ticket, they just allow you straight in. So international travelers just go straight in. So here they check whether you have your COVID negative certificate, you have any symptoms, they check your temperatures twice or thrice to ensure that you are feeling good. They also check your visa and all that stuff. But if you don't have an Air India flight, you can just ignore this step and go straight up to your departures, which is right outside. It's a far walk, but do pay attention. And yeah, so the other thing that I want to just be emphasized is that the moment you get out of the flight, just go straight to the departures, because it is a long line. For me, even though mine was a simple transfer, there were so many people traveling during that time that it took about an hour and a half to just check in. And this is, I was way ahead of time. There were people who came in right at the last minute. So just be mindful of that. Just don't have any distraction. Just go straight up to the departures and, you should be fine. The other thing is that make sure you have your COVID certificate in hand, print it out. That's the only thing they're going to check. I'm sure right now that they check your vaccination records as well. So make sure you have your COVID vaccination certificate. Ensure that you get it printed out. You also have a digital copy of it, so in case they ask you, you can just pull it up from your phone. But from what I've known is that they do check the actual hard copy. It feels very vintage, but it is what it is. So speaking of a very far walk, here's what I had to do. I had to walk really far. It was almost 3 miles from the actual airport. So I had to go to another, it was the same terminal, but it was a different area altogether. The area where I came in initially for my arrivals in Delhi. So I had to just take the departures. So it is a different airport altogether, but same terminal, I guess. So yeah, so a bit of quirks here and there, but ensure that if you have a different carrier, go through the different departures. I've told this a million times, but it is what it is. So that being said, what are the things that you need to be mindful about is your baggage. So ensure that it is less than 23 kilos. There is not going to be any sort of exceptions. If your bag weighs more than that, they do check in your in your domestic airport. But if your first destination is Delhi, ensure that your bags weigh less than 23 kilos. I've seen a lot of people who think that if it's just 1 kilo more than that, if it's just another pound more than 50 pounds, it's gonna be fine. I'm sure it's gonna be fine, but it isn't. So a lot of people had to throw their stuff or pay extra, so they're not having any of it. So just don't have the risk of overpacking. So just pack whatever is intended. I am very sweaty in this video because one, it was very hot. One, I ran like a maniac from one side of the airport to the other. But it was fun. Finally, I got to the departures aisle and I'm like, this is the last stopover to go to home. So again, there were like hoardings and stuff saying that Delhi airport is #1, the best airport in India. And I frankly agree. I had a really pleasant experience with it. It looks fantastic. The duty free feels very nice compared to the SFO duty free, or even some of the American ones. Obviously, Dubai airport has a special place in my heart, but it's nice. So what are the things that you need to be mindful about for an American travel is ensure that you have all the documents in place. They're going to check once or twice every time. Believe it or not, even for the exit immigration from India, they had to check my documents again. So I don't know why, but they did. So ensure that you have it in hand. They again check my temperature. So yeah, just ensure that you are feeling well, and always have your COVID certificate as well as the vaccination record in hand. So with that, I had to go to the gate. Again, a long walk. I can't believe how big Delhi airport is. But again, I was super tired. It was like in the middle of the night. It was around 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. at that time. And there were not many people. And certainly I wasn't in the mood to shop. But here's very colorful stuff. And, if you like shopping, I guess, and if you have plenty of time, do check those places out. And if you want to have a souvenir, again, it's pretty nice. So yeah, 220. So it was a long time, and again, I was not hungry. I just had a really decent meal at Air India before this, so I wasn't like hungry, but I just wanted to look at all those duty free things, and it looks very pretty. The Delhi airport is like very well maintained. I think it's one of my favorite Indian airports. So yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. So with that, I just wanted to tell you that what about the American immigration? Again, when you're just boarding your flight, you would have to do another check-in where you remove your shoes, your jackets and stuff, and they check your bags again, if you have any liquids and etc, 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 all this stuff. So yeah, even though you did go through check-in, be mindful that you aren't carrying any sort of food, leaves or anything. They do check for all that stuff, so just throw it out. I know if you've paid money for it, it's really, really hard, but just ensure that you don't have any sort of food or anything. I mean, even if you do, make sure they're sealed, like chocolates or granola bars or something like that. So with that, all the check-in and all the immigration stuff done, and another check-in and immigration TAC stuff done, finally, the last stop is the check-in and boarding. Again, window seat as always, and I'm just putting my stuff across, like my chargers and everything. And boy, it was like super relieving to just get in the plane. And obviously, a lot of people just stuffing their bags here and there. It was just really, really, really funny. Like a lot of people just stuffing their bags and all that stuff. So yeah, some of the bags look suspiciously large. I'm not sure how they even came aboard, but I'm sure that they did travel via Delhi and not from a place like I did, because if I had taken a ridiculously large bags, I'm sure that in Chennai I would have been stopped over. So yeah, that brings to the end of this video. I'm super happy to be going home, and to all those people who are traveling, good luck and see you very, very soon.